Hello everyone, Linton here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how you can do a quick and dirty upholstery for your furniture project. As you can see, we already have a bamboo bar stool frame that we're going to do our upholstery on. It is about 14 inches on all sides and about 30 inches high. When it comes to upholstery, I would say there are mainly two types. The first one is where you upholster directly onto your furniture, and the second one is where you upholster onto a piece of plywood and then attach that to your furniture. So it's removable in a sense. And as you can see, we are making the second one today. I do understand that a lot of you might think this is just an unnecessary extra step that we're adding onto our project, but that is not the case. When you can easily separate the upholstery from your furniture, not only is it neat and tidy, but it is also really easy when it's time to replace the upholstery. So believe me when I say that it really is worth a few extra steps. So what you see us doing right now is we're cutting out a piece of plywood that is going to become the base of our upholstery. So this plywood is going to be attached to the bamboo bar stool frame that we saw earlier. And then we're going to cut another piece of plywood where the actual upholstery will take place. What we'll do afterwards is that we will bolt these two pieces of plywood together through an anchor. I'll explain to you what an anchor is later on. Right now we're attaching our base plywood to our bamboo bar stool frame. So one thing that I need to tell you about bamboo, you may or may not be interested in this, but bamboo, unlike wood, is hollow in the middle, and you can clearly see that in the video. Also, bamboo is way more fibrous than wood, so if you want to make sure that you don't crack open the bamboo poles when you put screws in there, drill it first with a very small drill bit. I promise you that will reduce your chances of splitting open the bamboo to almost zero. Anyway, now that our base plate has been attached, we're gonna cut out another piece of plywood that is a square and 14 inches on each side while we finish our bamboo frame with varnish. So just a little tip on finishing bamboo. It is just like wood in terms of application method. Use a brush, you can use a spray finishing gun, or you can just use a rag. However, the difference between wood and bamboo is that unlike wood, bamboos don't have pores on their surface. They do have pores, but it's only at the ends. The smooth texture that bamboo poles have can cause adhesion issues when you're applying varnish. Whereas with wood as a substrate, these finishing varnishes will just cling on to the pores that are on the wood surface. That doesn't happen with bamboo unless you sand it thoroughly. So when you're applying varnish to bamboo, make sure you sand it to a very fine grit for finishing to adhere onto. Anyway, we have cut out the upholstery plywood with rounded corners that I told you earlier. Our next step is to line those two pieces of plywood together and drill 8 holes through both of them. 4 of those holes are for the anchor and the other 4 are for air release. Air release is a very important function of the stool because without air release, when someone sits on the stool, the air will become trapped underneath the upholstery fabric and it just wouldn't be as comfortable. Right now, I believe it's the time I explain to you what anchors are. Anchors are basically threaded insert, but unlike the one where you screw into the wood, they have spikes on them. So what you do is you place them directly over the hole you have drilled, and then you just hammer them down and the spikes will grab onto the material. The reason we use anchors instead of screw-in ones is because we're using plywood here and we're not using any kind of solid material like solid wood. And no matter what thickness it is, materials like plywood and MDF are just notorious for not having any kind of strength to hold on to threads. Also, these anchors will stay flush with the surface of the plywood so you won't feel anything poking on your butt when you sit on the stool. Right now, it is time for upholstery. We first apply glue to the surface of the foam, and then we move on to the plywood. And then just like with any kind of contact adhesive, we leave them to dry for a little bit, and once both surfaces have become tacky, we press them down together until there are no air bubbles in between. Also, you might be wondering, why is this guy spreading glue like it's some kind of putty? I'll tell you that there's no reason for that. I'm just doing with whatever I have in my shop. You can use spray adhesives if you want, but I don't think those are as strong as these kinds of liquid adhesives. I hope you remember I told you that this was going to be a quick and dirty upholstery tutorial. So that's exactly what it is. It is quick and it looks dirty. I didn't even have a 3-inch foam lying around in my shop, so I just glued on 3 layers of 1-inch foam. Right now we're cutting the excess off with our very sharp upholstery knife. Whenever you do this, make sure to cut perpendicular to the plywood surface and not at an angle. Otherwise, you're gonna regret it and your upholstery will be ruined. And we don't want that to happen, do we? There you go, enjoy your layer cake trimmings. I would like to thank all of you guys for watching this video this far. English is not my first language, and I put all my effort into making sure that I don't mess up these narrations. Also, these videos just take a long time to make while holding a full-time job. So if you guys like my videos, please leave a like and subscribe. Right now we're doing the upholstery, and as you saw earlier, we left about 6 inches of material past the plywood all around. That is going to leave us with enough material to go over the foam underneath the plywood and for us to pull on while we're doing the upholstery. I've been in many situations where I left very little material and I didn't have anything to pull on to while I was doing the upholstery. And I don't want you guys to do the same mistake. I do understand that it seems a bit wasteful that that's the material we're gonna just cut out and throw away afterwards, but trust me, you can't properly pull and frame the upholstery without that material for your hands. What we're using for upholstery in this video is synthetic polyurethane leather. There are many materials for you to upholster with. You can also use real leather, but it is usually very tough and you just wouldn't be cutting through it like butter as you see in this video. So we also put another piece of black fabric underneath, and that's gonna make sure that everything looks neat and tidy. I'm sure at this point you guys can see why I chose to upholster separately and then attach it to the furniture instead of just doing the upholstery directly on the bamboo bar stool. Just have a look at the ease that we're working with. You know, I believe that, you know, if we have to move around an entire stool on a workbench, like, you know, flipping it over and upside down, and while we're doing all kinds of like upholstery stuff like pulling and tugging and stapling, I'm sure the final product just wouldn't look as neat. Right now our padded seat is done and we're gonna attach it onto the bamboo bar stool frame. First, we identify where the anchors are on the upholstered plywood, and then poke a hole through the black fabric that you saw a little bit ago. Then just screw the anchor bolts on. And trust me, it is just that easy. One thing I'll admit is that it is not the best looking bar stool upholstery that I could have made, but like I told you in the beginning, it was just gonna be quick and dirty. I believe that anyone with very few tools can replicate this kind of upholstery in their home, in the garage, or whatever, and that's the whole purpose of this video. Here it is. Here is the final bar stool, and I hope you guys love this, and I loved it, and I hope you guys love this video. I'll make sure that I put more of these videos out more frequently with more explanations, and just more and more in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please like and subscribe, and see you soon.